Good morning and welcome to Mental Health Matters with me, Dr Audrey Tang. Today's show is very interesting. We have a guest who's had an unusual career path. He started as a spinal surgeon. He has now gone on to create something called the HappierMe app. And so we are going to welcome Dr Manoj Krishna to the show. Let's head over to the main studio. Welcome. You have had a really fascinating career. Please, can you share your professional journey to getting to the HappierMe app?
Thanks, Audrey. Pleasure to be here. And of course, to meet all your listeners. So I used to be a spine surgeon for a good I've been a surgeon for about 30 plus years. And I left medicine in 2018 to start HappierMe because I believe that there's an idea here that could make a huge difference in the world, help people lead lives with less suffering, happier lives, and also make the world a better place. And I was so moved by the suffering in the world, because I joined medicine, you see, to help ease suffering. And I had a fantastic career for 30 plus years. And I left medicine because I felt this work we're doing now could impact more people. And that's really the story behind the journey.
Yeah, I mean, that's really powerful, actually, because you were already doing so much to help people as a surgeon to then change. But I do understand that. I mean, so with HappierMe, with your new approach to healthcare, how can this transform healthcare as a whole and mental healthcare in particular?
Very interesting. You know, there's the link between the mind and the body is now well established by scientists. So about 60 to 80% of all GP visits in this country and around the world are linked to stress. 50% of all disease is connected to stress because stress reduces the ability of our immune system to fight disease. It weakens our immune system. And anything that weakens our immune system then makes us more vulnerable to disease. And that includes heart disease, cancer, and so on. So people who live with chronic stress are known to have shorter lifespans, a higher risk of cancer, heart disease, all of that. So if we can help people manage their stress and their mental well-being better, then we could make a huge impact on disease, the burden of disease, help people lead healthier lives, but also reduce the load on the healthcare system and reduce the costs. Because right now, for example, in the United States, 20% of all the money the government spends is spent on healthcare. Imagine if we could make a difference to that. And that's just physical health, Audrey, but when it comes to mental health, 76% of people live with one mental health condition or the other. 29% of teens have poor mental health. 22% of teens are thinking of suicide every year. So the scale of the problems is really massive. 1 in 6 people have an addiction issue. 1 in 2 people have relationship conflict. And all of these things can be addressed with the core idea that we're pursuing with HappierMe.
And I think this core idea actually is in your transformation, I think, from what you were doing as a surgeon would be curing and healing, not preventative. And a lot of what HappierMe is doing is preventative. So do you mind telling me about the HappierMe app and how its approach is different to the other apps out there that talk about mental health?
So the foundation of this whole project is that all the problems for which we don't have an easy answer begin in our thinking. Right? For everything else, there'll be a technical solution. So that includes mental health problems, addiction, relationship conflict, violence, war, even climate change. And if, therefore, say a car breaks down, all right, you have to study the engine to figure out what's the problem. Where is it, the engine? What's the problem inside the engine? Similarly, when we encounter mental health or addiction or relationship conflict, we have to study the mind to figure out, hey, where's the problem? So the more we understand ourselves and how our minds work, the more we can avoid and overcome all these problems more easily. So fundamentally, that's our approach. It's prevention focused. It's not just symptom relief, and it's offering long-term change by helping people understand their own mind. Yes, we help people feel better in the short term, but then we invite them to go deeper, to learn about their own mind. Take another analogy. You know, if you have say a fire.
Yeah.
The first thing you do is you put the fire out. And we have tools for that: breathing, meditation, mindfulness, journaling, tapping. But then you need to figure out why the fire started in the first, right? Because if you don't do that, it's going to keep recurring tomorrow, day after. And that's what happens with mental health. As you know, the patterns keep repeating. So we then give people the tools to learn about themselves, how their mind works. And that understanding brings long-term freedom. And that's what we're doing.
Now, that's if you don't mind me asking, do you mind giving me just an example of that? Because I know how the practical tools work. I know the put the fire out tools. I know the symptom relief tools. They are around everywhere. But it's that aspect, the understanding of how that person's brain works. Is it question prompts? Is it reflections? How do you get those insights?
So let me give you two examples.
Yeah, thank you.
One is talking to children. So the first one, I'm talking to 13-year-olds. And I said, how does social media make you feel?
Yeah.
Right? And they say, and these kids said, well, I think people are showing off. I get angry with others. I think I'm less than others. My life is no good. I become self-critical. Someone said, I hate my body because I think I'm not good looking enough. And I think, why should I bother? And so it's lots of negative thoughts, right? So then I said, how come a phone... So the whole HappierMe project is based on asking questions and exploring them. So I said, how come a phone, which is otherwise just a dead object, can make you feel all these things, right? So there's a stunned silence. And then I tease it out of them. And I said, what's going on in your mind to make you feel this way?
Yeah.
There's something happening you're not aware of, which is making you feel all these things when you look at social media. What is that? And slowly they will realize that their mind is comparing all the time, but they're not aware of it. Right? Your mind, my mind compares all the time, but we're not aware of it. So my next question then was, if you were in charge of your own mind, right? Now that you know this, that your mind's comparing, if you're in charge of your own mind and you only compared yourself with others when it served you, how would your life change? And Audrey, this girl at the back said to me, I would be free. Oh. You see how powerful this is?
I see. It's heartbreaking as well, though, because we're talking about really young children. It's you know,
but the same for adults, right?
But it's almost like, I think when I was growing up, I never had that. And I am grateful that I never had that sort of problem, because I didn't have a phone. I was out playing with my friends. The only comparison was on sports day. You know, it's a really different and quite frightening lifestyle that these young people are out there existing in.
So the problem isn't with social media. It's how our mind is interacting with it without our own awareness. You see. Yeah. So the more we become aware of what our mind is doing, the more we can be in charge of how we respond.
Yes, absolutely.
So that's really, really important. Now, my second story, I was talking to a group of teachers, about 200 of them in Newcastle, and a lady came at the end, and I was talking to her about how the mind works and so on. And she was crying, and I started to apologize, saying, I'm sorry, I must have hurt your feelings. She said, no. What you've said today has helped me to forgive my parents. Oh. So I said, what is that? And she said, I had a boyfriend with a different skin color to me. My parents refused to accept him. We married anyway, and we've got 2 kids. But for 10 years, nobody has spoken. My parents haven't spoken to the kids. We haven't spoken to the parents. Every day is heartache. I worry about them and so on. But she said, today I understood something that's helped me to forgive them. And I said, what is that? And she said, I understood the power of conditioning. Conditioning is nothing other than all our past influences, right? Which shape our thoughts and our feelings and our behavior. She said, I understand now that their opinions and beliefs came from their conditioning influences after the war, which they are not aware of, you see. None of us are aware of our conditioning. But yet we become attached to our opinions, beliefs, all of that, right? And she said, what's helped me to forgive them is I realize that I am the same deep down. My opinions and beliefs come from my conditioning, which I'm not aware of, you see? So it's the same process in you and me. It's just the outcomes are different.
Yes.
Once I see that, it helps me meet people with greater compassion and forgive them and so on. You see the power of that?
Beautiful. That's so beautiful. And I guess this kind of leads me on to my last question for this little segment. You've lived around the world, and are there different practices that influence either mental health or even conditioning or any of these behaviors that were of particular note to you?
On the surface, Audrey, we're so different, right? We look different, skin color, customs, behave. But just go a little bit underneath. We're the same human being everywhere. We have the same emotions, the same anxieties. We want the best for our children. We are absolutely the same human being deep down. Once we see that, then we can meet people with greater compassion, understanding. So many of the world's problems would end if we could see that clearly.
Oh, Dr. Manoj, that's beautiful. We are keeping you. We will be back just after this.
So I find that it's much more helpful and also more sort of pleasant for me as a human engaging with other humans to invite people to get curious rather than go, you got to look at this. You're looking at all wrong. So much rather go into, it's interesting to notice that when I have like a headache, it's not just, it could be because of a brain tumor, it could be because I'm thirsty, so anything in between.
Yeah.
How do you know the difference? How do you know if you're thirsty? Kind of inviting curiosity, I find is, first of all, more enjoyable, but also more successful because there's no shaming, there's no judging, there's no, pointing out, like there's a whole, like me, somebody just said, you don't really know much about your feelings. Because some doctor asked me to describe how I was feeling, like I was like in a lot of pain and whatever. And they were really struck by my limited vocabulary.
Yeah.
And when they were, you're clearly intelligent, you're clearly well educated, but you're not able to tell me really what's going on because I didn't have the language for it. So, and there was a shaming in there. And I remember feeling shame because it was something like, how can you be so stupid over here when you're so clever over there?
Yeah.
And that shame was just bruising. Whereas for me, that kind of, I get it. So let me go with you and get curious about how, this thing you're experiencing might possibly have to do something with that happened in your childhood. Or might something, have something to do with how you find it uncomfortable to be around people who are this or that.
Welcome back to Mental Health Matters Office Hours. I'm here with Dr. Manoj Krishna, and we are talking about the HappierMe app. Now, he's had a fascinating career. He's moved from medicine, spinal surgery, into the mental health sphere. And the thing about the mental health sphere is he's really promoting not just a preventative approach to mental ill health, but a way in which you can understand why we think the ways we do, because that can make a huge difference when it comes to healing. So it's a real pleasure to speak with you. Now, your HappierMe app, this encourages patients or clients to tap into their own self-awareness, and this promotes healing. What challenges within society or even within the medical profession were you seeking to address when you created this app?
You see, we call ourselves the National Health Service, but actually it's the National Disease Service, right?
Yes.
You understand?
Yep.
And the government has woken up to this, and their new priorities are self-management and prevention. So HappierMe fits very neatly into that. You see, once you understand why you think and feel a certain way, just like the car, Once you understand what's wrong with the engine, then it's easy to fix.
Yeah.
But the problem with us is we don't understand why we think and feel and behave in the way that we do.
Yeah.
Before you know it, your mind has reacted.
Yeah.
And you're feeling hurt or angry or whatever it might be. So, and we feel trapped, you see, because in our own mind is a storm going on, and we don't know how to deal with it. And then we try to numb that pain with alcohol and drugs, and of course that creates more problems. But suppose you had a mind that didn't compare itself with others. For example, so much of our stress would reduce automatically. Or if you had a mind where you understood your own conditioning influences. Because our conditioning makes us think that our way of thinking is right.
That is
Right?
true, yes.
You understand?
Yeah.
So anyone who comes along with a different point of view, or if life is different to the way we are conditioned to think,
Yeah.
then we get stressed. So a simple question can dissolve 80% of our stress. And that is, can I accept things as they are?
Yes. That's very important, and actually it's a
Right.
really important conversation to be having, because it's absolutely true. But I'm going to play devil's advocate for a moment, because there are going to be these very often C-suite exec type clients who they're really good at processing. They're really good at understanding self-awareness. They've done all of the reflection, and they know. And I was give a personal example here. I might know I'm a people pleaser. I know that's my conditioning. I understand that's my conditioning. I get resentful when I do all of those things, but I still find it really difficult to set boundaries and make those changes. So how do you help somebody who they use the app, they get the understanding, and they know why they do it, but physically it's still hard to live it and change those habits?
Yes. So the first step is to want to change. Right?
Yeah.
The first step is to look at your life and say, I'm stressed, anxious, unhappy. I don't have any joy in my heart. I'm working. I have a good living, maybe,
Yeah.
but deep inside, I have no peace.
Yeah.
So I want to change that.
Love
right?
that.
So that's the first step. Then you maybe come to HappierMe. And what we do first is we help you feel more calm. So breathing, meditation, mindfulness, all that. And then it's just about asking questions. Why do I feel a certain way? And we have an online journal with guided questions. So it prompts you to actually ask yourself the question. You raised a really good point, which is that information doesn't bring transformation. See? Cigarette packets which say smoking kills doesn't really reduce smoking.
Yeah.
But if you understand why your mind is reaching for that cigarette, because it's based on our own inner emptiness, restlessness, and so on. We're looking for something outside to make us feel good on the inside, right? Once you see that clearly, then your life can change. So once you see something, my friend John, who's now passed, said something beautiful. He said, Manoj, this understanding is like walking into a room and putting the lights on. But the room you walk into is your own mind. And when you see really clearly, your life changes.
That's beautiful. I'm going to throw one more question in there, which is another devil's advocate. So what we've got now is you've got somebody who has gone into that room. They've switched the lights on. They know and they want to change and they know what they want to do. But there's a fear because the habit, it served them. And whether it served them well or not, it's what they're used to. So how do you help somebody really begin to make that practical shift, even when they know they want to do it, they have the motivation, they've got all of those things, but something in them is still serving them from their previous behaviors? Do we just have to wait that out, or are there other shifts that we can make?
The beauty of this work, of this journey of learning about ourselves, is that learning brings its own change.
Oh, lovely.
Really. Once I'll give you my own example. So when I first came from India, 40 years ago now, I came with two strong bits of conditioning. Now, conditioning on its own isn't wrong, right?
No.
One was I should look after my parents as I got older. And the second was my wife should do all the cooking in the household. All right? That was my condition. But I wasn't aware I'm conditioned. I just thought that's the way the world should be.
Yeah.
Anyone who came across and challenged my thinking, I would get very defensive. I would go into attack mode. And this is what we do.
Yeah,
right?
we do. Yeah.
And nothing you can tell me is going to shift my opinion because I know I'm right and you're wrong. And not only that, I criticize everyone around me who's different. Right? So anyone who's different, I will criticize. So much so that it carries on. I will then hang out with people who think like me.
Yes.
So nobody challenges me because everyone thinks like me. Right? But the moment I woke up and realized I've been conditioned, and I began questioning my conditioning.
Yeah.
Then I realized it's a good thing to look after my parents because they looked after me, and I did till they passed. But it makes no sense, right, for women to do all the work. You know, I've got 2 arms, 2 legs, the same as them. Why can't I cook? I can read a book, and they can read a book. We can, and so on. You see what I mean? Recipes and all that. So the understanding does the work of bringing the change. But the key is to look at things without judging yourself as right or wrong.
Yes.
There's no right or wrong. It's like looking at the moon. You don't say it's a good moon or a bad moon.
That's true.
It's just a moon,
Yeah.
right? We're just studying the moon. You don't look at a tree and say it's a bad tree or a good tree. It's just a tree. We're learning together.
Yeah.
See? The learning does the work of bringing this deeper inner change so we can live with less suffering.
Yes.
With
Yes.
more peace
You
in
see-
our lives, with each other. And if you and I can live in peace with each other, we can have more peace in the world.
It's actually that phrase that I think we don't hear enough is the I don't have any inner peace. We always almost talk in the narrative that you must hear it every day as well. It's all about, when I'm not happy, I need to change. It's all quite aggressive language. Even changing for a healthier habit, it's still about I need to be motivated and driven but peace is actually the word that I think grounds you. It's beautiful.
I think when people talk of happiness, what they really mean is they want peace.
Yes, I agree.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
They look for it in the world.
Yeah.
Through religions or money or cruises or relationships or whatever it is, video games. But actually, it's already there inside each of us, waiting to be discovered.
Yeah.
And we can discover it by understanding our own mind. That's the beauty of it.
Yes.
And it's a great democratizer. It doesn't matter what degree you have, or whether you have any degree, how much money you have, or you have none.
Yeah.
As long as you're a curious human being and willing to go on this journey of looking and learning about yourself, you can connect with this peace that's already in you and live a beautiful life.
Oh, I think that's so beautiful. I'm going to leave it there for you to think about that, and we'll be back just after this.
In your experience, what are some of the biggest barriers that still exist when it comes to expressing our needs and wants?
For me, I think the first thing is role models, seeing other people do it. I think as children, we learn from the grown-ups around us and from others.
Yeah.
And I think we can talk a lot about, I've written a book. I literally wrote the manual, First Aid for Feelings manual. So I think books and podcasts and those kind of cultural products serve a purpose, absolutely. But also sort of human-to-human talking and learning from the people around us as well. So I think this is also why I show up. This is why I speak up. Because people hearing you and I talk here about feelings and what we found easy, what we found difficult, people can either relate to that or go, oh, that's so different from me, or that's exactly like me, or maybe it's a little bit like me. We can learn from others. So seeing it role model, I think, really matters. So I'm really grateful for people like you doing this podcast where we can talk and there's a human voice beneath the message. I think also the other thing is the kind of cultural beliefs. I think because I work internationally, I work with people. I'm a pain and fatigue specialist, so I do all my consultations by video or phone, and I work across, the North America, South America. I've got people I work with in Africa and Europe, even sometimes over there in Australia and New Zealand, and actually recognizing that there are cultural differences, and recognizing that particularly like for people like in the UK, the stiff upper lip is starting to crack, but it's still there. So that there are cultural aspects, I think, particularly here in the UK. I find it's very different from the people I support in the US and Canada. There are different they're more comfortable talking about stuff, so there are other barriers there. But I think in the UK, there's a cultural component here as well.
Welcome back to Mental Health Matters Office Hours. I'm having a really fascinating chat with Dr. Manoj Krishna. Now, he used to be a spinal surgeon. He was in the medical profession for over 30 years. He's now moved into the psychological side of things, working on our mental health with preventative mental health strategies and understanding. And we're talking about the HappierMe app that he has developed, which really not only just gives you those sort of ways of calming the mind in the moment, which is very important, but gives you a deeper understanding of why we think as we do. So if you have just tuned in, please rewind this, because this is a conversation you really want to hear. Dr. Manoj, how do you hope people are going to use the HappierMe app? Because I know there's a lot of apps out there where you've got the meditation and whatever, and people only use them for sort of 10 days and then they go, I'm not using it anymore. But your app goes deeper than that, and it really gets you to think about what made you who you are. So how do you want people to use your app compared to others, perhaps?
So I think all we're asking for is 10 minutes a day.
Oh, yeah.
So that's not a lot to ask.
Mm.
And the reason, when I say that this understanding can save your life one day,
Yeah.
so important. You see, if you ask somebody, why do you brush your teeth every morning? Or why do you go to the gym? It's about protecting our future health, future dental health or physical health.
Yeah.
HappierMe protects your mental health for the long term and the future. Because we don't know, here's a great truth, Audrey, we don't know how our mind will react to the storms of life until they arrive. Just yesterday, I spoke to a lady in America, and she said her neighbor's son took his own life because it was just in the moment, impulsive tragedy that happened. He was being bullied by people online and so on. What I mean is that nobody thinks that it's ever going to be them or their loved ones, right? But 22% of teenagers right now are thinking of suicide, and similar probably number of adults. So the challenges of life will keep coming. Right? Whereas this understanding is your shelter from the storms of life. It will protect you. It will help you deepen your relationships. It will help you find your own sense of peace. And this will save your life, or could save your life one day. And it's just asking you to invest 10 minutes of your time a day in your emotional well-being. And it's a journey. It's not a quick fix. It's not, a can of pop that makes you feel good straight away. You've got to commit yourself. For example, if you want to learn to swim.
Yeah, you got to commit to it.
You don't sit on the sidelines and read a book about how to swim. You jump in the water and get going, right?
Yeah.
And it might take you a little while to learn. Once you learn to swim, then you're not going to go under. Do you understand?
Yeah, it's true.
So this is the same analogy, that you have to commit yourself to learning the skill of learning about yourself. And after all we're asking you to do is learn about yourself.
Yeah.
But the more you learn about yourself, the more you realize actually other people are the same as us deep down. That brings compassion, kindness, love, which the world needs so much.
Of course
right now.
it does. Of course it does. And in the HappierMe app, you have modules for children as well as for adults, because you work with these two different age groups.
Yes.
How do they differ? Because a child, I guess, is learning to do this for the first time. Hopefully, maybe we're challenging any conditioning at that point. Adults often have to relearn how they've been conditioned. So do the modules differ?
So the teen app is completely different to the adult app.
Right.
Separate subscription,
Right.
separate, the same download, but they're different sections.
Right.
Every line in the teen app was discussed with teenagers.
Wow. Yeah. Brilliant.
And it's astonishing how much wisdom they really have.
Yeah.
So there's a section, if your listeners and viewers do nothing else, go to the teen app and listen to conversations with teens. It's called Teen Talk.
Love it.
Conversations with teenagers from around the world. And once you listen to them, you have hope for humanity because they have incredible wisdom. It's just about asking the right question. So one of my passions is that this understanding should come into education. So in addition to maths and science and all that, they're also going to be learning about themselves.
Yeah.
If we can do that, Audrey, we can create a better future, not just for that individual child, but for the whole of humanity. Because here you will have a new generation growing up who don't have so many mental health problems, have better relationships, and of course are able to avoid conflict and so on, right?
And I think this is where it helps that you're part of the medical profession and have this deeper understanding, because my next question really is there a danger for children? If we go around telling them to look for mental health problems, are we suddenly going to find they have lots of mental health problems? And my worry is schools, for example, are bringing this wellness agenda into the schoolroom, but it's not led by people who understand psychology. It's led by teachers, and that's no disrespect to teachers. They're not trained in psychology, not all of them. And in struggling to deliver this curriculum, which they shouldn't have been asked to do in the first place, they're now creating children who are looking for problems, whereas that's not what you're doing. You're actually helping them, or you're taking a different approach to that. Can you sort of assuage my fears?
So actually, we don't call it mental health.
Right.
We just say we're just helping you feel better in the short term, but then help you understand yourself for the long term.
Love it.
But
Simple.
you see, education is about learning.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And all we're doing is saying, learn about your own mind at the same time as you're learning about all the other subjects.
Yeah.
And that self-knowledge
Yes.
awakens your own inner intelligence, emotional intelligence, which not only protects your mental health, but also contributes to your success in life. Because 80% of success is about how you communicate, how you collaborate, how resilient you are, how empathetic you are, how well you understand your own ego or not, and so on, how good a listener you are.
Yeah.
So those skills are not being taught in our schools and colleges. Whereas this self-understanding can help you be emotionally intelligent and contribute not just to your well-being
Yes.
and happier relationships and peace in yourself,
Yes.
but your success in life as well.
It's about reframing how we deliver this information. And it sounds like that's what you've managed to capture really, really well with the HappierMe app. Where can we learn more about you? How can we download your app?
So you can find me on LinkedIn
Great.
if you want to know about me. The app is called HappierMe, Master Your Mind. So it's available on all the app stores. Or you can visit our website, happierme.app. And if anyone listening would like to begin a collaboration in your school or institution, please get in touch.
Amazing, amazing. And then that can be around the world, because this broadcasts out in America as well.
Yes, we work already around the world. We're partnering, for example, with the National Family Support Network in America. They look after 2 million families in America already. Amazing. And we're just about to launch a partnership with the mental health charity Mind here in the UK.
Fabulous. Oh, incredible. We're actually going to keep you for Business Boost, Dr. Manoj, and we shall head over there right now. I've kept Dr. Manoj with me for Business Boost because this is a question that I've been asking myself lately. I've noticed this a lot in organizations. I've noticed this a lot in what people who work in some organizations have been saying. And schools and businesses are becoming a little bit too therapeutic in that you now have managers who are not trained in psychology at all trying to give you therapy instead of signposting you to the employee assistance program and maybe as somebody who has been trained in it. And whilst we absolutely know that, of course, schools are not there to make things worse for you, work is not there to create a toxic environment for you, but they're not healing spaces either. And I wondered, Dr. Manoj, what you thought about that shift that might be going on, which kind of saturates both the original purpose of what school and work is there for, but also it can saturate mental health support and intervention, and what we can do about it.
Okay, so I think maybe we should begin by realizing that mental well-being is a spectrum.
Yes.
Right. So if you take 0 to 100, the people who need psychotherapy and all that are probably in the 85 to 100 group. You know, the really severe people need referrals, psychotherapy, etc. The vast majority can self-manage.
Yes.
Right? We just need to give people the tools for that.
Yes.
You understand? And HappierMe is one of them.
Yeah.
Now, why is it important? Because in schools, you see, there's so much mental distress.
Yes.
Can you imagine 22% of teenagers in English schools are not going to school? The absenteeism rate is 22% because of mental health. So schools are finding that mental distress, let's call it
Let's call it distress. Yes, I like that.
Emotional distress.
Yes.
Is impacting learning and grades and behavior in class. And poor behavior in class is making 50% of teachers want to leave the profession. So there's a real crisis. And of course, we need a whole school solution, right? We need the parents to be involved.
Yeah.
We need the teachers and we need the students.
Yes.
And this is what we're trying to do with HappierMe because we've got separate sections for parents, teachers, and children.
Brilliant.
You know, so they can self-manage. They can have these conversations and completely turn things around instead of just fighting fires all the time. You see? And I have some beautiful videos of my conversations with children. And that's what really drives my passion for this work. Because I believe if we could bottle that up and share it, we could change the world. Really, I believe that.
Yeah.
Now, when it comes to organizations, similar problem, their productivity is down by 25-30% because 76% of employees have mental health issues. Bullying is 1 in 4.
Yeah.
Right? Relationship conflict is about 50-60%. Right? And so on. So all of that is impacting their bottom line. They want to do something about it, but they don't know what to do. So again, the prevention-focused approach is so much better.
Yeah.
And all we're trying to do is make these tools available to people so they can manage their own emotional well-being and build stronger relationships.
I love that. And it's a guided approach as well, written by people who understand it. Because what happens is, and this used to happen when I was teaching, you just get told, oh, this is a new thing that we all have to do, go ahead and teach it. You're not told how to teach it. You just need to have a discussion about depression or have a discussion about, well, you know, it's not quite as bad as that. But somebody who's not trained is now wading into a very difficult space with no tools and nothing to support them. But what your app has got that almost, not prescription, but that template that they can hang those conversations on.
Yes. And I think teachers are really struggling with their own mental health.
Yes.
So in any school, half the teachers have poor mental health and half the parents, half the students. So a teacher with poor mental health isn't teaching as well as she could or he could. And students with poor mental health aren't absorbing the information. So the whole environment. So I went to schools where teachers say the students don't want to come to school, not because they don't like the teachers, because they get so anxious
Yes.
around what other students are thinking about
Yeah,
them,
yeah.
and so on, you see. So I think we need a whole school approach,
Yeah.
and rather than and a structured approach, not this firefighting we're doing all the time. The answer doesn't lie in more counselors. you see.
No, it doesn't. I agree with you. Yeah, it lies in just having those tools and knowing how to execute those tools.
Yes.
Because that's where actually you need the support, because you've got a lot of hands on deck, but if they're not using the tools correctly, I think we cause more
And
problems.
parents need to be part of the solution.
Yes, true.
And what HappierMe does is it includes them as part of the solution.
Yeah.
You see, it's so important because they, more than anyone else, care for their children and want them to be happy. You see.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, my goodness. Dr. Manoj, it has been such a pleasure chatting with you. And it'll be great to chat again. So, it was really interesting. And I wish you every success with this app, because I think this is exactly what could be the game changer for a lot of people out there. So thank you so much for joining me on the show.
Audrey, thank you so much. My pleasure.
And we'll be back after this.
Around the campfire, there is an understanding that what's shared there stays there.
Yes,
Um,
exactly.
And nowadays, you can quite literally blow your life up with one ill-judged comment on social media, and that's you. That could be your job, your future, the whole thing. I'm not condoning, some of the sort of more deliberately explosive things that are shared there. But to have a space where, you can road test some of this in a safe environment, absolutely crucial.
Absolutely, because I think men will then they will correct you and they will steer you in the right direction, and they will do it in a way where no one's been hurt, it's that safety.
Yes.
Exactly.
That was a really fascinating discussion for me, because one of the key things that I know that I see so much is the workplace and schools being asked to do more and more well-being. Now, it's fine when they bring practitioners in. That's one of my roles. I go into organizations, I teach not the tools of going deeper into the mind and those understandings, but I teach the mindfulness, I teach the in the moment stress management tools. But I can also signpost people, because that's my qualifications. That's where I know I can recommend where people can go if they need extra or deeper help. But the problem with schools and businesses becoming too therapeutic is that you're putting a whole profession's worth of knowledge onto people who have trained for a completely different profession, and that dilutes both. So I think the HappierMe app is worth looking into, if nothing else, to understand how these conversations can be had. Another thing I just wanted to bring out, and it's a book recommendation, I would recommend anybody who's interested in well-being and the way we handle anxieties nowadays to read Nicholas Taleb's Anti-Fragile and or Jonathan Haidt's The Anxious Generation, because both of them talk about the same thing, and Jonathan Haidt expands on what Taleb says. Taleb talks about this characteristic called anti-fragile, and anti-fragile's on one end of the continuum, fragile's on the other, robust is in the middle. Robust is, you can hit it as much as you like, it's not going to break. But his theory is that humans are anti-fragile. The more we're challenged, the stronger a lot of us can get, to a point. Now, he's very clear that it's to a point. So I'm not talking about, you go into a toxic organization and you can withstand it all. No, it's only to a point. But, and Jonathan Haidt expands on this, when we have situations where parents or schools or even work tries to overprotect their children, their staff, the people, their friends even, from any form of challenge, we end up with fragile people, not anti-fragile ones. Because in protecting them too much, they never get the chance to grow. And we had a conversation with Tom Gold, who is a bushcraft instructor. And we talked about, on that show, how we need more spaces for boys, because boys can be boys in boy spaces and they can course correct on their own. And this is the exact same message that Taleb and Haidt put forward. In a play environment, for example, children have high stakes learning. They learn how to interact with each other in a low consequence environment. If they go a bit wrong, it doesn't matter, because their mate will say, oh, don't do that, that's not very nice. But if they've not had the chance to do that because parents are keeping them indoors, or they're not going out to play anymore, or they're not socializing with other people, it really becomes problematic, because they never learn to course correct in that way, which means that if you make a mistake online, you can get cancelled. That is a high stakes learning in a high consequence environment. So I do recommend, if you're interested in this sort of discussion, do have a look at the HappierMe app, do read Anti-Fragile and The Anxious Generation, and on that note, have a healthy week.